the leaders and the executive level folks that I'm always the most impressed with are the ones who can show the humility to say, we didn't handle that in the best way. We're learning. We're learning like everybody. We're going to do it better next time.
And often we don't see it in the moment. It's something that we come back to later and say, oh man, maybe that wasn't the right move.
Don't leave anything out. Don't leave anything on the table. Like what they say in sports, like leave it all out on the court. And would I be able to say, if the day comes when I, move on to some other initiative or some other organization or cause, will I have felt like I really left it all out on the court, or is there more I could be bringing? Is there more I could be pushing myself to do to get out of that fear bubble?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inner Work. I'm MaryAnn Means-Dufrene, and so excited to have my good friend and amazing Fort Worth leader, Lindsey Garner, with us today. Welcome, Lindsey.
Thanks, MaryAnn.
We were just saying that you guys at Communities in Schools, you're the CEO of Communities in Schools of Tarrant County, and you guys have moved into a new building that you built.
Yes. We've been in this community serving for over 30 years. Yeah. And historically, that has looked like placing full-time social workers on school campuses. And that is still our mission. That is what we do. They do case management and mental health counseling. But I have wished for years that in our central office, we had more capacity to support all of those social workers that are in the field. They are serving 11 regional school districts, and we've never had space for things like a clothing closet or a food pantry. Our social workers told us they would love access to a washer and dryer because some of them take their kids' clothes home to wash them. So all that to say, we asked for their input, and we have this facility now that has those spaces. So I hope that's going to really be a resource for them to help them do their jobs better.
Absolutely. And this is one of those, like, what are those little Russian dolls that it's like doll, and then inside of the doll, there's a doll, and then inside.
Yeah, they're like little nesting dolls.
Yes. That's what is happening for me right now, is like just hearing about the work of Communities in Schools, helping students succeed and stay in school in a K through 12 environment. That's a story. Having a dream of a building where you can do all these things and enhance the services you provide. That's a story. Launching a capital campaign to build your own building is a whole nother story, and how all of these things are happening, how you've pursued that over is it 12 years?
13
yeah. Years. That my brain is exploding a little bit right now with all the stories and the impact and everything that you've pursued and succeeded in your role.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and it's definitely been a team effort. We can certainly explore that today, but what it's like to have a team of really strong, competent people around you that you trust and that become like really an extension of your family that you have the honor to work with. And that's what I have at work. And it's really amazing.
That's wonderful. And you were in the director of development or VP of development role, or 8 years ago or so, because you've been CEO for a number of years now.
Yes. Goodness. So I think I was in that role for the first 5 years, and now I've been in the CEO role for 8. So it's going by really fast.
It is. And you're of course exceptionally young, and a lot of your leadership journey has happened in Communities in Schools. Is this where, sitting in this seat, this is not your first podcast, but it's your first podcast in this building, sitting in this seat, having this experience, is this where you imagined that you'd be 10 years ago?
No. Going back even to when I was in college, I always wanted to work in the nonprofit sector. And I was always interested in growing in leadership. So I could have said, yeah, I would be interested in leading a nonprofit someday. But the ways that we have grown at this organization in that time, and certainly the undertaking of a capital campaign, I didn't know that that was on the horizon, and that would have been, I would say, I like to stay safe. I like to play it safe and stay in my little safety box of predictability and, incremental change and incremental growth. So I would have said that's a little out of my comfort zone. That would be a bigger undertaking than I'm brave enough to do. So no, I wouldn't have guessed that would have been part of the story.
Yeah. What changed for you, or what shifted for you to make this not only possible but essential?
Okay, so I don't know if you really wanted to go here in this discussion, but I want to tell you something that happened to me is turning 40. Several years ago, I turned 40. I officially entered, I guess, what we could call middle age. And I think just in
No, we don't
reflecting on,
we don't call it that, by the way. No one calls it that.
um, so I would say, just in reflecting, I think that you start to ask yourself, have I accomplished everything? I think that's completely normal. Like, you take stock, you kind of take inventory. If you talk to a therapist or a coach, I think we're trying to maybe shift away from the idea of midlife crisis, a midlife assessment. I was given that term.
Yeah.
Don't you love that?
A little look back. Like,
A midlife
how's it been?
assessment.
Yeah, I like it.
Right.
I can get on board with that.
And in my midlife assessment, I had to ask myself, is fear holding me back from doing all I could do? Am I too safe? Am I too comfortable? Nobody ever wants to get to the end of their journey and wish that they had taken more chances or been a little bolder. And I'm thinking, I've got one shot at this. I've got one life to live, one life to give. And so I can either really stay in the safety box, or I can try to take a few more risks. And I wanted to do that, just kind of put myself out there and put our organization out there a little bit more, and see what we could accomplish.
Amazing. So this look back, this assessment, and so the answer really you had for yourself was, I haven't taken the risks maybe that I wish, or what was that link? How did you talk to yourself about that?
Yeah. I am just a person who likes small, safe, and predictable. And so typically I am a very cautious decision maker, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would say in many ways that could be responsible. But what I had to tell myself was, don't leave anything out. Don't leave anything on the table. Like what they say in sports, like leave it all out on the court. And would I be able to say, if the day comes when I, move on to some other initiative or some other organization or cause, will I have felt like I really left it all out on the court? Or is there more I could be bringing? Is there more I could be pushing myself to do to get out of that fear bubble? So that was the conversation I had to have with myself.
Yeah. And then what did that process look like of, okay, the answer is no, there's more left in me. I've got more gas, or I've got more energy, or there are some things I've been holding back on. How did you begin the process of pulling those layers back to say, well, then what's the direction?
Well, I think, I'll say a lot of prayer. I am a very spiritual person, so I've really tried to pray a lot about being bolder, and looking for guidance, and then just reaching out, like you said, if there's people in your life that will speak honesty to you, your mentors. I have some wonderful mentors. I have a therapist. Yes, and just reaching out and really saying, okay, is this a good direction that I'm thinking of moving in, and just getting that kind of that affirmation and buy-in from our team here. I mean, this isn't something you can go alone. You really have to have a lot of support. So
that's right.
Yeah.
How there's a self-determination piece that I'm sensing too around, I'm assessing risk. I'm assessing, are there fears here? I'm making the determination. I'm assessing the environment. Who's in it with me? Who's on my boat? And then how has that changed your experience of your work and your life?
Well, I'm going to go back to that word buy-in. I, as a leader, I tend to, and I think sometimes it may be too much a little this way, but I want the buy-in from the people around me. If we're going to take on something big or small, I want to know that we're in it together and that we have joint decision making and joint input. And again, in taking it something like a capital campaign as an example, we really sought input from stakeholders, from our own staff who are out there serving these kids every day, and no one small little group sat in a corner and designed what we thought we needed. We really tried to get input and buy-in. And I think that has ended up producing, the support around this that we needed, and the excitement for our team. So I really like to seek buy-in from the folks around me.
Yeah. Or there times that held the pace back?
I think that if you asked my team, they would say it often holds the pace back. I call myself a slow mover, but I'd rather take a little extra time and build consensus than just say it's going to be this way. Now, when you're a leader, sometimes you have to say it's going to be this way, get on board or get out. But if we can build consensus, I'd prefer that.
Yeah, it's like you can say you tried. Right? Yeah. Like we really work to move this forward. And then when you've got that momentum of the group moving forward, how much more can you accomplish, right? Because it's more powerful, it's solid, it's unified.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do times come to mind in this process or others where you couldn't get consensus and had to take that stance of here's where we're headed?
Maybe if we step away from the example of the capital campaign and just talk about, it could be a bit of a sensitive topic, but, we are working in a time of strong political winds that are blowing this way and that. And, I would say that there definitely have been times, especially in the last year, where we have had to really make sure that our staff in their roles and in their duties and responsibilities and how they serve students and how we talk about the way we serve students, that we're aligned, and remembering that we talk about students and services, and really just be clear in our messaging. And I will tell you, when you have a lot of different folks out in the field, passionate social workers, for staff, for the students who may be coming to them with really sensitive things that are on their hearts, or that they may be struggling with, feeling like they have the ability to talk about this with friends or family or whatever, any type of really sensitive, heavy things that may be coming at a social worker, we have really had to wrestle with law and policy, and where does that meet with ethics? Those are hard conversations to discuss with our team. Absolutely. And like it or not, there are certain times when you have to say, this is how we are aligning. This is our messaging. And if that is not going to resonate with you as an individual, that is okay. No hard feelings. But if you're going to stay here and serve in this organization, you'll have to align. So you can't always get consensus, right? Sometimes you just have to say, this is how it's going to be.
Right. And there's the conversation that we're having in our work and in our organization versus the one that we could have as individuals. Right. Mm-hmm. That if we were having a cup of coffee or having a glass of wine, I want the person across from me to have every freedom and to be able to make the decisions within ethical boundaries that are right for them and their family. And then there's the conversation that we have as representatives of our community, of our organization, of our family, whatever it is, where there's not 100% consensus. It's, what do you have 100% consensus on? Because that's what we're going to talk about. And so I know, as a person who is compassionate and loving and appreciates all the different types of people and the differences that we have, that can be a struggle at times.
Yeah, it really is. But again, we really try to stay focused on the things, as you say, that we can all agree on, which is that, we're here for students that need support. We'll feed you and clothe you and fix your mom's car if it's broken down so she can get to work. So,
oh, that's amazing. And you serve, of course, as an executive, this nonprofit. You also serve a group of moms. I think it's mostly local, mostly DFW.
it's Fort Worth specifically.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, yes, I am a mom of two wonderful, beautiful boys. And, since I have one teenager and one preteen now, but from the time that they were very young, we knew that we had some maybe learning differences or some developmental differences. And so autism has always been kind of a part of our family's journey. And, it was, in 2018, I really was looking around needing the support of other moms who were raising children on the autism spectrum. And I really wanted to be able to find and build relationships with those people and people who could really, truly relate, who could do more than, sympathize. I had a lot of wonderful friends in the community, but they didn't have children with the same kinds of needs. And so, and sometimes if you can't find it, you have to build it. And so I was not able to find a conveniently located support group. So I started one called Mom Strong Fort Worth, Mom Strong FW.
Yeah.
And we started meeting monthly. And then, of course, that translated into like an online support group with a group that also meets in person. And that support group has grown to just shy of 500 Fort Worth moms, Fort Worth area moms that are raising kids with autism. And so it's just, it's been really amazing to see how many other people were out there who needed that connection.
That's right.
And it's been a lifesaver for me, for sure.
Hey noticers, if you're dreaming of glowing, healthy skin, you must try Henna Azul Korean skincare. Myung Chong has been transforming skin for 27 years with facials so good, they create the Henna Azul glow. I've been going to her med spa for years and my skin looks better than ever. Her products use medical-grade ingredients that truly nourish your skin and keep it radiant. Visit hennaazul.com to explore her amazing products and services. That's HANNAISUL.com. Now go get your glow. What was that process like of saying were you already a CEO by this time? So you have that as a part of your leadership journey, but also I could imagine there were times you're like, I'm maxed out. How do I have time for one more thing?
Yes. It's amazing to me how our capacity can expand even when we don't think that it will. I'll tell you, MaryAnn, it's about to happen to me again. My younger son, who is nonverbal, he is 11, he'll be 12 in December. And, he is aging out of our children's ministry at church, but we don't really have the perfect fit for him right now. And we love our church. So I am going to be heading up a new special needs ministry at our church for kids like him who are growing, are, preteen and teenager age, but need to be presented with, material and curriculum at a different learning level than what we're currently set up for with our youth ministry. So, and I will tell you, I don't feel like I can take on anything else.
No.
It's exactly what you were just saying. But I'm gonna, because necessity is the mother of invention. And let me tell you about that support group. I will tell you exactly what it looked like. I was so desperate to find those moms that I put it out there that I was going to start this. I made this sad little sign that said Mom Strong FW. And I went to La Madeleine on Camp Bowie and I got some tables together and I posted where I was going to be. And I had a glass of wine and my sign and I just sat there. And I'm an introvert, MaryAnn. That is not like me to go alone, not knowing if anybody's going to show up. And I saw that first mom walk in, and you know who they are because they're looking around. Like, am I in the right place? And I said, are you here for Mom Strong? That's me. And we grew.
Yeah.
But I had to really put myself out there. see if anybody showed up.
You did. Well, and what a beautiful ministry to step into, our own needs awaken us to often a more pervasive need than we realize, right? And to have the courage and the hope that you had to do that and now to do it again is really just gorgeous.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Love you for that.
Yeah, that's, and our needs, especially those that we're finding ourselves in pain, uncertainty, so many, and it's this continuum often where we might start with feelings of isolation or loneliness, and I think those of us that end up being used in it to minister to others, we become a vessel through our own dependency and our own need. It ends up becoming this thing that we're so grateful and thankful for.
Yeah. Well, and again, like what we were talking about earlier, it's just, I think that I'm learning we will be equipped with what we need when we need it. It is much easier in our fatigue to just say, I can't take on anymore. I can't do anymore. But, see earlier comments, do we have anything else we can give? And if so, I'm just finding we'll be equipped for it.
That's right.
For the time such as this.
That's right. And there are times in our lives that we could not do more. And it's important for us to speak to that and to admit that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have felt even, well, as I told you, my children are now 14 and 11, almost 12, but I even feel that probably for the last decade, I would not have been in a position to take something like a special needs ministry on, between work and honestly, if we want to go there too, there is, it's a thing people don't necessarily want to talk about or admit, but when you have children who are, neurodiverse, struggle with, if you have one with IDD, there is a grieving process, and it's not a one-time process. And so, I would not have said that even for the last decade that I would have been in a place mentally or emotionally or energy wise to launch something like that. But it's a new season. And so I think I can now. Well, like you said, you have to really know which season are we in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to be.
You do, and let yourself recover, and that how we feel today when it's depleted or just too busy or frenetic is not how we're going to always feel.
That's true.
We take care of ourselves, right?
Yes.
And admit that this isn't the season, this isn't the moment that I can do this. I believe that I will recapture energy. I believe that I will heal, but it's dependent on me admitting to exhaustion and admitting to pain and letting myself feel and grieve those things.
Yeah.
How your it's amazing because you're not super introverted. I mean, you're like a little I introvert because
Thank you.
to do everything that you do and serve and speak in such a way that everybody wants to listen. You've got those characteristics and those qualities of a true communicator and somebody who you can tell how much nourishment you receive from relationship, right? And when I look at that and think about the journey that you've been called to, and that your husband Johnny also has his own professional journey, what has that been like for you guys? Maybe taking turns at times, maybe like who's the star?
Oh, goodness. What a partner I have in that man. So yes, I am blessed to be married to Johnny Garner. And, there are things too that I probably take for granted, even in terms of, like you say, our work schedules, having some workplace flexibility to be able to, do careers and parenting in the way that we do. We've always been, and not everybody is able to do this, okay? But we have been able to drop our kids off and pick them up at school. We've That's something that we really wanted to do, and we're going to do it every year that we can.
Yeah.
But yes, there's definitely no star, and it's a partnership.
Yeah.
And there are times, and anybody who's been married a while will tell you, we've been married for 20 years. And, there are times when I'm up and he's down, and he's up and I'm down. And, I think just being able to know when that other person needs you to step up a little bit more and carry a little bit more of the load, just being able to do that, give and take and back and forth, has been critical for sure.
It's amazing. It really is such a blessing to have a true partner, somebody to depend on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If only we could just be up at the same time.
You're right. Exactly. We can celebrate a little bit together. Yeah.
Oh, me.
So many dreams fulfilled in terms of professional career and seeing your boys grow and learn and pursue things that they enjoy, a new ministry that you're going to be starting. What is the thing that is keeping your energy up and helping you to feel motivated these days?
Well, I love my team. So, at the church level, again, I have such strong community. So I have community, beautiful community at work. I have beautiful community at church. I have friends like you, colleagues in the community. And so, I mean, it's just, I think it would be so empty if you took any one of those away or changed the chemistry. And so, talk about counting your blessings. I mean, I just have support and a wonderful community of people that are all plugged into the different aspects of my life. So that is my energy, and that is my encouragement.
Yeah.
Those are my cheerleaders. So I'm grateful for that.
It's amazing. There, to see kind of your career trajectory, how you've grown, what has been most important for you over the years in terms of kind of your mindset and your philosophy?
Stay humble. Oh man. I just really feel the longer I go and the more conversations across the table I have with all different mindsets and backgrounds, I keep coming back to, I hope that whatever age and stage that I'm in, that I'm still open to change and learning and growth. Where I find the most difficult conversations are when people are so fixed in a certain way of thinking or a certain belief or a certain way we've always done it, and they just can't get beyond that. And just to have the humility too to say when you screw up. I screw up all the time. I have off days. I snap at people. Things don't come out of my mouth the way I want them to. And to even just be able to have the humility to go and say, I did not mean for it to come across that way. I was not at my best. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I mean, how often do we actually hear people in the workplace say the words, I hope you can forgive me? I mean, it's very powerful to humble yourself in front of others and just admit when you've made a mistake, and just be open to different ways of thinking. So I hope that I have never arrived.
That's great. I've never arrived in terms of knowing everything, being perfect, being right, being infallible, right? There's something that we can pick through in any situation to learn from it.
Yeah.
And even a year from now, looking back on a conversation I'm having today, like I might say, whoa, there was more nuance there, right? Than I even imagined. Yeah. And the reacting in ways that we're not proud of there are times that, and my sister and I were talking about this recently on a family trip, I will feel sometimes around my parents, even who I love dearly, like that frustrated teenager. And it's like we can get caught back in that, like, why am I
Yes.
reacting this way? Why do I feel out of control? Like, what's happening to my body? Like I don't even feel like myself. And there's always something to tend to there. And we often forget, like, it's snapping at the kids is what would happen for me at the end of a long day, or being frustrated with a team member around something they forgot to do. And there's always something about me there to explore. And not that a tough conversation doesn't have to happen, or that we have to be in the world and be having conversations in it. But for us to stay humble, to use your language, and be able to back off that moment and say, there's something here I'm not understanding. I'm triggered, whatever it is. And I've got to let something emerge.
Mhm. The leaders and the executive level folks that I'm always the most impressed with are the ones who can show the humility to say, we didn't handle that in the best way. We're learning. We're learning like everybody. We're going to do it better next time. It's such a hard thing to say, but man, I respect it so much.
Yeah. And often we don't see it in the moment. It's something that we come back to later and say, oh man, maybe that wasn't the right move.
Mhm.
And it takes making a point of addressing it rather than letting it slide on by. So it's such an intentional piece. But so good, my friend. Love getting to catch up with you.
Yeah, this has been really wonderful.
Yay.
Thank
I'm proud
you.
of you and all of your work. It's so inspiring.
And so tiring,
I'm so tiring. You must get your rest. You must get
right?
your rest.
Exercise and coffee.
There you go. What workouts are you doing these days?
Well, goodness, I actually went back to the gym after like probably a 7-year hiatus of doing
Yeah.
all kinds of other things. I just went back to going to some classes at the gym,
Yay.
and
Community.
I love it. Yeah, it is. I
Yes.
have forgotten how much I enjoy like seeing the same people in class every week on the ones that I
Yeah.
go to. And, somebody will miss you if you're not there. Where were you last week? I mean,
Right.
it's community. It's
Right.
great.
It's a big theme for you. I love that.
It is.
One of the ways I like to close inner work is asking you to tell us a book, a value, and a daily practice that you live by. A book, a value, and a daily practice.
Hmm. Well, a book. Wow, MaryAnn, I wish I was a little bit more prepared for that one.
Like, what's on your nightstand? It could be just a book you recommend, or what you're reading now, or
Well, I mean, I have certainly my favorite authors. I love Kate Quinn. I love historical fiction. I particularly have always loved World War II historical fiction novels. Um, you know, I think I devour them because I like stories of, well, I love leading ladies. I
yes.
love stories of strong female heroines, but I like stories of survival and perseverance, and I like stories that move us toward empathy
Mm,
and justice.
mm,
And so that is why I keep coming back to those some dark, very, very dark periods of World War II, and the Holocaust and stories of survival and overcoming, because I think they move us toward empathy and justice. And I think that kind of answers your values question as well.
absolutely. Wow. And this idea of we don't seek the light unless we acknowledge that there's darkness, right? It's this contrast, it's the pain, it's the suffering that produces endurance, right? And that, in some ways I could imagine you only want to watch like romantic comedy because you want to escape the suffering. But it's a part, you are the heroine. It's a part of who you are.
If your viewers haven't read Lilac Girls, that is one that I keep coming back to over and over again.
Hey, Lilac Girls. I'm putting it on the list. My sister and I are starting to try to read some things together. So Lilac Girls would be a great one. I love it. Okay, so values of empathy, perseverance, endurance, and then what's a daily practice for you that keeps you motivated and going and strong?
Every single day, I have a playlist of worship music that I listen to, usually in the mornings when I'm getting ready. Um, and I can tell you sometimes, I mean, it is songs of just upbeat, but some of the things that I've shared with you too that have been harder times in our lives. I mean, I have covered my eyes and just swayed or grieved or prayed or whatever I need to, but I love music. Music speaks to me and moves me in a way that'll, is just very unique to me. And so that is something that I need every day. That is typically how I start my morning.
Beautiful. I texted my sister last week because I just had a series of events that were like, "Are you kidding me?" Things that were happening, and I get up usually early in the morning, do a little work, and then I do a quick workout in quiet time. And I was like, I don't want to work out. I barely want to do a quiet time. I was literally laying in the floor of my closet, which my sister said, that means you must live in Texas because nobody else has a closet that you can lay in. So I'm laying in the closet and the song, This Is How I Fight My Battles, came to my mind. And I put that on YouTube and just rolled around in the floor and cried. And I texted her after and I'm like, strong recommendation, play this song and roll around and cry and you will feel better.
Oh man. Lauren Daigle has one called Come Alive or Dry Bones. And man, I listen to that all the time.
It's powerful. The movement of our bodies, the music, it's cellular, it's somatic, right? We need that cellular level healing. That's what I'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
Oh,
thank you, friend.
For joining. Yeah, so amazing to get to visit with you and catch up and celebrate your gorgeous building and all the incredible work that y'all are going to be doing for our Tarrant County students. And y'all are greater than Tarrant County, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in a 4-county area, but the majority that we serve are Tarrant County.
Wow, I just appreciate the work that you do, the woman that you are, the leadership you provide our community. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you everybody for listening to Inner Work, and we'll see everybody soon.